Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is on assignment, and as you can see, Charles Bishop is on assignment. As Charles Bishop is calling play-by-play, Texas Southern and Prairie View, the baseball rivalry is playing today, so folks can get Sunday Easter off. So they started a day early. We might get him to pipe in and see what's going on out there. We might even get Brian to sneak, as he's telling us that Bethune-Cookman is on the road playing a non-conference baseball game, I believe, Stetson. So we'll see. Maybe we can get some updates of what that's looking like. My understanding, he's in the house. We might even sneak down to Prairie View and get some insight from Joe Clay, 1876 Sports and Cultures. He's down there for the spring game. A little change. You told me to the show that Morgan State is doing something like that as well. They have a track meet, so they're moving it to get a Thursday mix in there, and Prairie View is doing a little something different. I think you got the cancellation of spring games, changes to the spring games. You got different dates. So it's all over the place for various reasons for coaches, whether it's about kids getting in the transfer portal, or as coaches would like to say, poaching, but it is what it is from this perspective. So that's a little bit of my intro in terms of the news of the day. But let me do official welcome to everybody. Welcome to episode 650 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. Simply, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. They're on assignment, as I said, so I brought in none other than David L. Rhodes to give us some updates. Obviously, you had him showing out yesterday for the independent reports, or the indie reports, as they like to call it. But we're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, as I like to let everybody know. That's Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University for Houston, Texas. For those that hadn't heard, me center stage in a lot of ways, him as well as Chatterbox, because that's where he heard me from. But Ralph Cooper brought me into the radio studios and allowed me to talk about HBCU sports, talk about the business side of sports management, talk about TSU's, Texas Southern University's sport management program at the undergraduate and graduate level. So we've been able to recruit and grow that program beyond my wildest dreams, bringing in professors. We've brought in a new professor, Dr. Dixon. He moved over from Jackson State as he decided to relocate. So he's with the program office. Charles Bishop talk about, he teaches as an adjunct. Billy, soon to be Dr. Billy Rosenberg, is a visiting professor. He's come through the program from the beginnings, an undergraduate now about to earn his doctorate. So I'm excited for him. He teaches in the program. And then Courtney Flowers, a partner that really has helped hold things down as I've been able to move into some administrative roles almost now. It seems like a decade. So appreciate what she has done in terms of that. So, yep, Dean, as we say, of college education, the literal job, and then Dean of HBCU sports, what we like to talk about in the lab. With that being said, David, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. It's almost Friday. It's been review week in my workplace. So it's people. A lot of people are happy, and there'll be some people that are sad. But I got through all my reviews so far this week, so I'm hoping to have a quiet Friday tomorrow. I get my review tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
I have to do reviews of staff and administrators, so I can imagine some of them, like you said, are happy, and some of them are sad, and some of them might be real sad if they're not careful. But that's a whole different discussion. That's HR. I'm gonna leave that right there.
It's out of my control. That real sad is out of my control nowadays, so I really can't do too much about the real sad portion of the review game.
Real.
So
that's real. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. With that being said, David, what are some news of the day that you want to start out with? What's on your mind?
I mean, we might as well go in with the FAMU hiring their new basketball coach. They hired.
It's just a little big. A
little bit. When you out here hiring Heisman Trophy winners and NBA Finals NBA players, former NBA players, that's pretty big. So they hired Charlie Ward to a 5-year deal. After Coach Patrick Craig went on to Grambling after one season. I think that this is a phenomenal hire for them. I'm curious to see if the connections show through, but I also am curious to see if we create more fan engagement, because the running joke I always say is FAMU's arena is too nice to be empty. So I think hopefully this will be an opportunity to try to get the fans more engaged with the basketball program. I know basketball isn't like tops for them. I know football is like their bread and butter from that aspect, and other sports as well. So I'm hoping that this hire is going to energize the fan base to support that basketball program. I think that's a sleeping giant for FAMU if they can get the participation with regards to that. But I love the hire for Charlie Ward. I think it's going to be fascinating to see how he does.
Yeah, the more that I've learned about it, that his father was there. I had forgot those stories, and obviously, even some people said they were recruiting him to play over there at FAMU. Obviously, when the brand came in Florida State, some conversation, oddly enough, some put out there that there was a basketball coach at the time at FAMU that wouldn't let him play both sports. That's pretty wild. Whether he was going to go there or not, the fact that was even an impediment or a question, just to let you know how some coaches can get in their own way. And obviously he went over to Florida State and had, a magical run. We often think about the football side in terms of the Heisman, obviously, great seasons, but the fact that even on the basketball team, they made it to the Sweet 16, I think, or Elite 8. Pretty deep in the tournament. That was Sam Cassell. I mean, there were some players on that Florida State team before this new iteration that people think a little bit more about. He did it when nobody was doing it, along with the other players, Sam Cassell at Florida State. So kudos for FAMU in terms of the hire. I think it's fascinating. You bring up an intriguing question in terms of certainly it's a new arena. I had the chance to travel with Texas Southern down there and sit in that when they first inaugural season in the SWAC after the announcement of the expansion of the SWAC with them and Bethune-Cookman. I got to go to both places. Great experiences just to travel, see different atmosphere. And to your point, while the student section is rabid, pretty fired up, there's just not a lot of fans that get out there and watch the games for them. And then part of that is that they've had their lean years, but that apathy can beat you up pretty fast. So it'll be interesting with this connection to the area, how well they played last year, where people started maybe to get some understanding that, hey, we can play basketball. Women's basketball is serviceable as well in terms of them playing pretty good. It's certainly competitive, if not on the record side. So if you can get that combination, it will be interesting to see, can they get more folks from the community, more alums that are in the area to come out and support basketball. So it'll be fascinating. We've seen this iteration several times in the SWAC, and the basketball coaches, not only do they churn, but there are some pretty talented coaches in the SWAC, which is fascinating, which puts me back out there that I want to see some matchups between the SWAC and the MEAC. I want to see some more matchups between A&T, particularly some of the SWAC schools, on what football wise, we think about is the Eastern Division, where the travel may not be too arduous. So I'd love to see a little bit about that, so be interesting. And then maybe we can find somebody to put something together to do some type of early season basketball tournament,
Man, I've already talked to somebody that I know very well about that.
I'll leave it right there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. Like you ain't.
Yeah,
you ain't
and I don't want to acknowledge Chris Paul is doing some amazing stuff.
Oh yeah,
over here. I think that's important. We've seen some other folks do that. We've had, you come out of Carolina, and I remember actually going up for the MLK tournament that was played with A&T being the only Division I school playing in it. The rest of them were CIAA schools because at the time Central was in the CIAA. I remember those matchups coming for that, and then Johnson C. Smith and another CIAA getting significant crowds, 15, 16, 17,000. I was amazed at that time coming to the SWAC, seeing basketball at that level. Then obviously you've seen a new iteration of Michael B. Jordan, his basketball class he puts up there, New Jersey, New York area.
Yeah,
they've had some amazing crowds. I got to put that on the list, get up there before that moves around. Have you made to one of those games?
I went to the I went to the inaugural Michael B. Jordan one. It was right during the COVID period too. But it was also the same weekend as the Celebration Bowl. And it's fascinating because I had some pretty decent seats, and I was sitting behind the folks that helped organize the event, and they were asking me questions about suggestions. And the first thing I told them was, you got to get it out of this weekend and move it to like the winter, like in February. Like you got to move it, because I was like, you're going up against the Celebration Bowl right now. You got that year with Jackson. It was Jackson State versus South Carolina State, same weekend, right? Deion Sanders' first Celebration Bowl appearance. You don't want to compete with the Celebration Bowl because that's where everybody's going to be at. You'll probably get more people if you do it like in the core of the basketball season in February. So then the following year they moved to February, and there was a big difference from a crowd perspective. I know my partner Malcolm Banks went to the second one.
Okay, yeah, I plan to get up there. Maybe I can catch up with you and get you to come back to another one. We can see if we can have a good time. Treat you well like I did in Atlanta that time.
Yeah, man. Like it's not.
A little bit of trouble.
It was a pretty. I can never get in trouble. Not anymore, at least. So, they but it was a really good event. They had like a college fair. Me and my daughter went, so it was pretty cool. I was on television a lot in the first one because I was right behind the commentators. So that was pretty cool. Michael B. Jordan walked by us, and people were following him. That was a hilarious exercise to watch because everybody was like, loved him. So, but no, it was a really good event. Really good event. But now I'm looking forward to see what FAMU does, man. I want to see. My question is, what is success for FAMU basketball? And I know folks don't want to hear that, but I'm wondering, right? Like, what is success for FAMU basketball? I know everybody wants to win championships, but that basketball program has always they've been down for a long period of time before this year. So I'm fascinated to see what the expectations are for Coach Ward. I know it's about the connections too, but I'm very fascinated to see how that pans out, and I think he's going to do well there.
I agree with you. Very fascinating. Next week, some tennis championships coming up for the MEAC. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. South Carolina State women won their third consecutive MEAC regular season, so see if they can get it done in the tournament. South Carolina clinches MEAC tennis regular season title with the sweep over Norfolk State. So South Carolina State looks like they're going to do what they're going to do. So we'll do that. Looks like Charles may be able to give us an update around 6:30. So let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side, and let's talk about these poll rankings. Black College Nines has released their poll rankings yesterday, so I want to get your thoughts in terms of what that looks like. So let's take our first break and come back on the other side and do just that.
All right.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. They're both out on assignment. It looks like we will get a drop in by Charles, give us an update of the baseball game there in terms of what's going on between Texas Southern and Prairie View. I won't spoil the lead, so I'll see if we can hold off and let him get it in. Some of the people in the chats may break it out to give an update there. But with that being said, let's take some time, since we're talking about baseball. Let's look at Black College 9's top 10 poll rankings. We're going to start with what we call the mid-major division. They call it the small schools division for games through March 30th. It was released yesterday. So we'll see what that looks like. I'm going to give you the top 5. Won't bury teams in there. We can maybe get in some discussion of those, the bottom 5 if you like. But let's concentrate on the top 5 and see what you think thoughts are there with these programs. First thing I'll say, when we look at this, you'll see multiple Division II programs and a couple of NIA programs. It's mixed between the SIAC and the HBCU AC. With that being said, let's get to it. At number 5, you have Miles College. At number 4, you have Wiley University. You have number 3, Edward Waters University. Number 2, Savannah State University. And number 1, none other than Talladega College. So the top 5 has 3 teams out of the SIAC, which is Miles College, Edward Waters, Savannah State, Golden Bears, and a couple of Tigers. Then under the HBCU AC at the NIS side, you have Wiley University and Talladega College. What are your thoughts in terms of the top 5? And you're in agreement with this? Would you like the order that they presented in? Or do you see maybe a little more love for the Division II side than the NAIA side? Where are you in terms of this mix as these teams are showing off and fighting?
I had to look up what Talladega's record was, because I was curious. I'm like, they have to be really good to be ahead of all the Division II programs. The 32-14, 23-3 overall in conference. So I'm rolling with them. I know they do the Black College Pro. Yeah. I'm rolling. I'm gonna roll with the Tornadoes here. All right, I'm gonna roll with the Tornadoes here. So I'm impressed with what they're doing over there. And I'm curious to see. Yeah, man, they beat Voorhees 19-1. I'm from South Carolina, so I know Voorhees very well. So yeah, I'm very fascinated to see how if I'm assuming they get invited to the Black College World Series. I'm curious to see if they get invited, and hopefully they can do some damage. I'm fascinated to see how they would do against some of these Division II programs. Miles is pretty good. I'm not mad at them being at 5. Edward Waters, like ever since Edward Waters has gone to Division II, they have been able to be super competitive in a lot of the sports. So shout out to them.
Yeah, good point. I'm glad you brought that to the table.
Yeah, I shout out to them. Like it's amazing to
I
see
want
how.
to shout out specifically to multiple ADs that have been through that, have made that work, and particularly the president. He has obviously understood a commitment. He made a commitment when he was a member of the GCAC at the time, now the HBCU AC at the NIA level. Then he saw the opportunity, made the transition to Division II, and said, well, if we're going to go NCAA, particularly in SAC, we're going to make a commitment. And they've shown it out, hiring solid coaches, obviously, that are getting done, getting a couple of championships, as well as being in the top of the race, as you said, in multiple sports.
Yeah. You love to see it, especially because I know it takes a lot to get eligible for NCAA, even Division II. So like for them to come in and like be competitive as fast as they have is impressive. So
good stuff. Good stuff. I'm in line with you. I think you make some good points when you talk about Talladega. Boy, they're playing some good baseball. Last year they made a run, and the way things set up for the Black College World Series, it's played before the NCAA Division II baseball tournament or the NIA baseball tournament. And the way the rules there, they don't see it as two multiple postseasons. So they're able to play in both. So Talladega actually played in the Black College World Series, made a deep run. They played in the championship a couple of years ago. But they actually then went into the NIA playoffs and won at least one game. I can't remember if they went 2 rounds or not. I think it was 2. But I know for sure they made one of the games in the NIA tournament. And we're looking to make a run. So let you know that this is not just a one-season thing, to your point. This is a talented program that's playing some really good baseball that can get it done at the HBCU rank and outside of that. So they're talented galore. You see that on the SIC time. To be interesting, a little more challenging the way Division II set up to get into the playoffs there. You don't have the automatic bids. You have to be set up in such a way. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like when you talk about coming out of the SIC. And then you have the fact that Spring Hill is leading it. HBCU was not an HBCU conference. So when we talk about teams getting those playoff bids, I'm focused on HBCUs. So kudos to Spring Hill in terms of what they're getting done. I want to make sure we acknowledge that. But I'm interested to see, can somebody else push them? Or you talking about the good thing is that with the D2 tournament, the teams like Savannah State, Edward Waters has a chance to still play postseason ball.
Yeah, with Spring Hill in the lead, you want to try to get as many HBCUs in the tournament as possible, but that's going to be up to Savannah State and Edward Waters stepping up and trying to beat these guys because, that's just the way it is, you know?
Yeah.
Because, you want to try to get as many as possible, but if you got Spring Hill out here doing the do, what can you do at this rate?
Yeah, and you're in a region where baseball is rich in terms of a lot of teams playing really good baseball. They're able to recruit, obviously, from the fertile areas of Georgia, Florida, get into Alabama, and then a lot of them, because it's so big, they can recruit nationally, particularly in the Midwest where it may not be as big. And some kids say, hey, I want to come try my luck down there. So you're in a region where you have to be really talented, not just good, but really talented, because it's not just what you're doing in your conference. Because the way the NCAA Division II posted up, you don't get the automatic bid. So you got to be in that top 6 to get yourself in positions, to your point. Let's move over to what we call the major division, what Black College 9 calls the large school division, in terms of what that looks like. And then we'll take a break and we'll bring Charles in after that second break to get some highlights and some thoughts on the matchup today. And we'll let him break it in terms of who won the game today. Let's look at these top 5, which is North Carolina A&T, Number 4, Texas Southern University, Alabama State University, Bethune-Cookman University, and FAMU, number 1. So that's 5 A&T. Number 4, Texas Southern University. Number 3 is Alabama State University. Number 2 is Bethune-Cookman University. Number 1 is FAMU. FAMU did take a loss. So in terms of conference play, Bethune-Cookman and FAMU are locked up. And I want to bury the lead because we'll talk about in that last segment, but those two match up this weekend. So I'm fascinated to see what that looks like. The other thing that's interesting, while I won't break down the bottom 10, but you do not have an NEC team or former MEAC schools in the top 10. It is all SWAC
and A&T.
Kudos to A&T, though. They get mentioned because they're in the top 5. I won't mention the other bottom 5 teams.
Oh,
that's what that looks like. So,
and you want to talk about a gauntlet in the CAA, man. So I was like impressed. I was like, oh, we're still in there. Good. And it went up because we were like 6 or 7 the last time I checked the ranking.
You're taking 2 out of 3 series, to your point.
Yeah,
so let me yield to you and tell me, what do you think of the top 5?
Now, I do like the top 5. This tracks. The Florida schools have always been the ones, right? And Alabama State and Texas Southern are holding their fort to stay in. It'll be nice if we get a former MEAC team / NEC team in this top 10, but I don't think they're that good right now. I'll be honest with you. But A&T right now, they're 7-5 in the CAA. They got a big series this weekend in Delaware against Delaware, a good 3-game series. The only concern I have with them is the pitching. We against High Point, we out here giving up football scores. So, but for some reason, when it's conference play, it's game time for them. So I'm hopefully when they go up to Delaware, we at least, it'd be nice to win the series, but we got to at least get one. We can't afford a sweep right now because we're second in the conference right now. We got a 3-way tie, second in the CAA currently.
I like that. Yeah, going to the series, you get your own room up, but you're playing high caliber, so that doesn't really happen. So you want to see if you can get 2 out of 3, get the series, but at the worst, you got to find a way to get 1. So you keep yourself turning in the mix. Just how it goes from that framework. So I do like that. And as I said, I'm fascinated to see what this FAMU Bethune-Cookman series is going to look like. Thank goodness it's in Daytona, and we got the Cat Eye Network, so that means we can
watch it.
Get in there and watch it. They have great play-by-play in color. So if you like hearing baseball old school wise, where you get to hear it, they do a good job on that. And then you get the visuals to see it because it will be on YouTube, the Cat Eye Network. So want to give some love there in terms of what that looks like. We're going to take our break here. We'll come back on the other side and bring Charles in so he can give us an update. So let's take our second break and come back on the other side and see what Charles, the bishop, has to say.
All right.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Human Voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We're going to bring in Charles Bishop. We have Brian digging in here. We're going to just jump right into it, Charles. You there at Texas Southern University, home of, there in McGregor Park, home of Texas Southern University baseball. We have a big one because it's a rivalry between Prairie View, Texas Southern. One of these teams really needed to get this win. Certainly need to find if they can get the series because both teams are struggling a bit over the last weekend. So tell us a little bit about the lead. I didn't give the score out, so you can start with that first. Who won the game today, game one of the 3-game series? And then what did you see?
Yeah, big game today for Texas Southern as they got to win 13-9 over Prairie View. Huge 7-run inning, Doc, back in the 5th inning. We talked about Damian Garcia in terms of what he's been able to do. He had a 4-home-run game against Arkansas Pine Bluff last time out. 2 more home runs today for Texas Southern. He's vaulted himself up the SWAC standings in terms of home runs, but has 11 going into tomorrow. But you know how the winds blow out here at McGregor Park. He gets it up into the new urban jet stream that is McGregor Park, and he got a couple of them out. But I brought a guest for you, Doc. I mean, I can't just do myself justice. I wanted to bring a coach to you. So, how you doing?
Good deal.
How you doing, yeah, yes, indeed.
I'm doing well. What's going on, Coach?
Nothing much. Just excited about this first victory.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. Obviously, there's been some things going on. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but you've been able to lead the team. You've had to step in a role that is more than naturally what you do, and you've done a great job at it thus far in terms of really stepping into it. But tell us a little bit about that, and then go in and tell me how you're proud that the team was able to get this victory.
And let everybody know who you are, Coach.
Yes, sir. Well, my name is Ricky Urbano. I'm assistant here at TSU. But, I mean, it goes to the whole coaching staff. You know, everybody's doing a good job at rallying together, kind of staying on top of these kids, just keep holding them.
We lost the audio.
Yeah.
Our jobs and creating men and just keep competing. You know, last weekend was a struggle, but we bounced back this week, had a good, tough, very mentally tough practice, you know, trying to stay positive, trying to stay competitive, trying to understand that it's a long season and we're here to fight and we're here to continue to get better each and every game.
Well, let me say this. You got the one today. So that means
yes, sir. Yep.
Anybody stand out into the matchup today?
Oh, yes, sir. I mean, Jay Jones still swinging a hot bat. Bryce Hughes hit a huge, I believe, is it a grand slam or a grand slam? Grand slam. So that's just huge.
Make sure you tell Bryce Hughes that his professor, Dr. Cavil, he's in one of my graduate classes, that I'm proud of the work he's doing in the classroom and obviously what he's doing on the field. Make sure you
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I sure will let him know. And then Damian Garcia, like Charles said, you know, just staying hot. Our offense been producing. Pitching staff struggled a little bit, but I mean that's why we're here to back them up. You know, it's a full team sport, and if the offense shades a little bit, hopefully the pitching staff can pick us up. And the pitching staff struggle a little bit, so the offense picked them up, and it's just a good team win. You know.
Have you made a decision of who's going tomorrow as the starter?
I'm not sure. I believe it's Cavil Brazil still. So we're going to keep the same pitching rotation that we've had, you know, just hopefully we have a quality start. Calvin gave us good 4, then started struggling in the 5th. We tried to turn it over to the bullpen. Jose Lucioni came in, very competitive, throwing a lot of strikes, you know, just exactly what we want from somebody coming out the pen. And then after that, we kind of just struggled throwing strikes and put PV in an opportunity to bring the tying run to the plate in the top of the 9th. So we got to just finish games, continue to fight, continue to stay locked in, and continue to just bear down and compete the Texas Southern way, you know?
I like it. Go Tigers. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Coach. We'll let you get back to it. I know you need to get off your feet a little bit so you can get ready to go tomorrow. So
Yes,
let me
sir.
go back to Charles and
I
get
have
in.
one request.
Yes.
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Take out the Florida schools, okay? Take out the Florida schools.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We gotta go down there with some Texas pride. Yes, sir.
That's right. Take. Listen, the Florida schools. I'm tired of hearing about them. Take out the Florida schools. As a former MEAC participant, take out the Florida schools. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
We're gonna
keep at
compete
it,
and we're
Coach.
gonna give it our all.
Charles,
Yes.
what time they go tomorrow?
2:00 first pitch tomorrow. Like you mentioned, Kiwan Brazil will probably go for Texas Southern tomorrow, but exciting game today. When you talk about rivalry game, Prairie View was able to sort of mount a bit of a comeback. They left the bases loaded at 13-9 in terms of a ground out to end the ball game. But exciting ball game today. But like I said, Texas Southern, they're continuing to swing hot bats. 14 runs on Sunday against Arkansas Pine Bluff, and they put up another 13 today. So this is a team that can hit with the best of them. They got two of the better hitters in the SWAC when you talk about Kelton Phillips playing center field for Texas Southern, and also Jaden Jones, second baseman. They're both in the top 10 in terms of hit batting average in the SWAC.
Good stuff. Well, we'll let you go. I know you need to not necessarily get off your feet, but you got to clear up your throat, man.
Yeah, you got one tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
got one tomorrow.
You're cold, man. We need you tomorrow. You know,
no doubt.
You can have one. That's all right. I take it back. I know you had a great day working out this morning, so I'll let you have one.
I appreciate that, Doc. I appreciate that.
All right, we'll let you make it, Charles. You're welcome to stay
Appreciate it,
on.
guys.
Have a good one, Charles.
All right.
You can jump off. Let me go to Brian. He's down there going to give us some updates in terms of the Florida schools. He's at one of them. Brian, tell everybody where you are.
Hey, Doc. Doc and Dave. Good to be on with you. I am live here in Sanford, Florida, as you can see behind me at the historic Sanford Memorial Stadium. This is, I don't know, could be considered maybe one of the older ballparks in the state of Florida. I believe it's claim to fame. This is where I believe Jackie Robinson once played. I'm trying to recall if it was in the Negro leagues or if it was in the minor leagues with the Dodgers organization. But yeah, though, this is a good atmosphere, and you know we got both of the Florida teams. The first place battle between Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman. This is a Bethune-Cookman home game. They moved their game from their stadium over here. I don't know all the particulars as to why, but right now we are in the top of the sixth inning. FAMU at the plate. Bethune is up 4-0. They jumped on top of us with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the first inning. Picked up another run in the bottom of the third. In a bases loaded situation, we managed to get out of it with only giving up one run. And then in the bottom of the fifth inning, Bethune got another score off of a throwing error. Runner came around from second to score. So, you know, it's a little tough going right now. Hopefully, FAMU can get to the Bethune bullpen and do some damage against the bullpen. So that's kind of where we're at. I think FAMU has only gotten maybe but when I left to come out here, they had only 2 hits through 5 innings. Bethune only had 4 hits through 5 innings. Of course, as mentioned, they had 4 runs on those 4 hits, and they had FAMU had 1 error. That's the only error of the game, which actually resulted in a run. So right now, FAMU's number 2 pitcher, Garrett Workman, is on the mound. Heard some interesting news earlier regarding FAMU's defending pitcher of the year. Not sure what the status is of Caleb Granger. Not sure whether he is done for the year or not. He got injured a couple of games, a couple of series back. And so I think St. Clair Moraine, I was talking with my good friend Keith Keith, who does the Things Up podcast. Keith was saying that Moraine broke the news that Caleb may be done for the season. Ooh. So, that's a tough blow if that is, in fact, the case. So that's a tough blow for FAMU.
Yeah, great update there, David. Let me let you follow up, and so I won't get in the way of this dialogue between Aggie and a Rattler. They can get interesting, so I'm gonna let you go and see where it goes.
So with the injury to Caleb, do you think you guys have enough pitching to still hold on to first place? I know you guys are losing Bethune-Cookman now, but this is just the beginning of the series, so there's time to still keep the lead and probably still win the series. But with if it's the potential of loss of Caleb being gone for the year, do you think you guys can still be able to hold on and create first place? Can you still make a run in the SWAC tournament?
Well, from what I've seen thus far, behind Caleb, the number 2 and 3 pitchers had been performing pretty well. Now, Workman, who's pitching today, is a true freshman. So, there's that, but I honestly, I don't know, Dave. That's a great question. And the good point is we're at the halfway point of the season, and we've got 15 games to kind of figure it out, right? We got 5 series. This is the first of 5 series. But really, this is actually the second series because he did not pitch the last series when we went out to Mississippi Valley out there to Itabena. He did not pitch in that series. So this will be the second series without him in the number 1 spot. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out what the pitchers are looking like. And I'll say this very quickly. I watched us play UCF on Tuesday right here in Orlando, and we played really well. I mean, we gave up 5 runs, and the pitching looked pretty good. You always run the risk in those games of bleeding out a lot of runs if your pitching isn't on point. So there's hope. There's hope. And, ask me that question in about 4 weeks, and I have a better answer for you.
That's the appropriate answer. Give me some time. Give me some time.
Give me some time to figure it all out.
Yeah, give me some time to figure it out. I know Coach Hoop is working to figure it out as well.
Yeah,
I'll give you some updates, Brian. Know how much of that you heard. Texas Southern was able to get the first game against Prairie View 13-7. So Prairie View slid quite a bit.
Football scores out there from those SWAC West schools, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Lately, it has been the case. Southern and Arkansas Pine Bluff is early, so according to D1Baseball.com, may be a little bit behind. It was 0-0 in terms of top of the first. Alabama A&M and Jackson State. Jackson State is at home for that game. They've jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and that's in the top of the third. Alcorn State and Grambling play, but they don't start until 8:30. Talking about a late capper there, and that's probably 7:30 Central, but still pretty late. But you see, because of the holiday weekend, a lot of these teams decide to play early on Thursday to give the players all a chance to celebrate Easter Sunday, as well as the coaches, for that matter, and the family.
Right.
Together. So I like that. It does change things up. So fascinating. I know you got to get to it. Any last thing that you wanted to bring before we let you go? I really appreciate you giving us some insight and giving us some live updates. And you're right. It's interesting to see the Bethune-Cookman has played a couple of games down there in Sanford, and they appreciate them. Obviously, they had a minor league ballpark, so I wonder if that plays into it. But we'll have to get Coach Hernandez. We'll text him, get some updates so we can find out the decision about it. Hopefully it's not anything outside of what's going on in Daytona, and they just choosing to do it, which certainly could be interesting. Nice ball for it. And credit for Sanford for allowing you to. Any last thing you want to share before we take third break?
This is a great opportunity. If any of your listeners or anybody who's watching is in the Central Florida, Orlando area, regardless of whether you are a FAMU fan or a VCU fan, the admission is free. It's free to come in. So it's a great venue, great spot. The game
out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's 6 o'clock start tomorrow, and then Saturday it's a 2 o'clock start. So any of the youth baseball programs, the high school programs, it's a great opportunity to come out and watch baseball between two of the best teams in the SWAC right now. And it's a great opportunity. So props to Bethune, BCU for making this happen.
Good stuff. I will credit there. I will sneak one more to you. Top of the 7. Check this one out, Brian. Alabama State 4. Mississippi Valley State 4.
Yeah, look, And look, Valley battled us. I mean, I thought we would sweep them, and they got that third game against us, and actually were very competitive in the second. So, yeah, I guess you can't sleep on Valley right now. You can't sleep on Valley.
But Valley always gets on y'all nerves, man. So like that's what they do.
It's just one of those years, man. It's just one of those years where they're
I wasn't gonna bring it up. I knew Dave was gonna find a way.
And look, it wasn't just football either. They got women basketball too, you know. They be sniping folks, man.
Valley.
Hey, I'm just glad that they moved off Prairie View because for a while it was a Prairie View thing. You know, basketball, certainly football. Now maybe it's shift. Let Valley take all their frustration out on the Rattlers. I like it.
I hope not. Can't wait for this year to be over with so we can get back to some normalcy.
With that being said, seriously, we'll take our last break, come back on the other side, and we'll talk a little bit more about these matchups and some early scores and get David's thoughts on it. Again, appreciate your time doing the muscle. So good stuff. We'll be right back after this last break.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Professor Rhodes. Rhodes, let's get in here, David. And I want to first give some love to HBCU AC. You talked about Talladega in terms of them being ranked number 1 in the poll rankings. Number 4 is Wiley. Fascinating. While we shout out Talladega sitting at 32-14, 23-3 in conference play. Wiley is holding up their own in terms of the other division. You have an East-West division, and they only play in a division. We're familiar with that from what the SWAC did before this season and previously when the MEAC had a North and Southern division for baseball. We've seen this before. But in the West division, you have Wiley. They sit at 28-13. 20-4 in the conference race. So they're playing some really good baseball, evident the fact that they're ranked number 4 in the Black College 9 poll rankings, what we call, again, the mid-major division, what they call a small school division. And what's fascinating to me, they do not play in the regular season. So I'm looking forward to this tournament. I think that's going to be a credible matchup when you get in a tournament. If those teams can do what they need to do to get to a championship type of matchup, you should see Talladega and Wiley. I think that's going to be fascinating. Any thoughts you have in terms of that potential matchup for a tournament HBCU AC championship?
Yeah, it's looking like they're pretty much on a collision course for the finals if they get the job done, do what they need to do in that tournament. But yeah, that would be a fascinating matchup. It's a shame they didn't play each other during the year to get a taste of it, but it'll be fascinating to see them in tournament. Hopefully they both have a chance to make postseason play as well. That would be pretty awesome as well to potentially get both of those institutions after the tournament. Maybe both can get in, but it'll be good to see because Wiley is playing pretty well right now as well. And there's a couple of pretty good teams in this conference. I mean, there's a lot of teams in here with some winning records, so it's going to be a fascinating tournament to say the least.
Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of homework. I want to get top 25, as you said, to see where these two teams may be ranked or ranking in that top 25 poll, to see what that looks like. As we do that, in terms of it was released one day ago, let's see if we can sneak in here and get this out to you before we switch and talk about some of the other teams in here. Neither one of them are ranked in the top 25, it looks. And let's see, are they outside of it? Not even outside receiving votes.
Oh no.
With that. You have teams top 25 ranked like 28, 9, 28, 11. So I hate when that happens. But anyway, that's why sometimes it's good to have your rankings such that you can look at your own framework and tell your own story. Doesn't mean that you won't chase the top 25 ranking, but you need to do it on your own there. So it'll be fascinating to see again what that looks for the tournament. But I'm glad you brought it up to see where it might land as you get a little closer down the road, finish it up, and still see if they'll have a chance to find a way to get in the tournament. I believe
do they do auto? Do they still do auto?
They do auto? Just like in basketball for the NIL,
Okay.
they do auto. So
I know
now you
Division
get to
II
the
doesn't,
point.
so that's why I was wondering. Okay, so at least you get one in.
They should get at least one in. And then what's interesting in NIA, depending on the number of teams, the NIA for basketball, so I need to follow up in baseball, they put 2 teams in. For basketball, you get automatic 2 teams in terms if you have like over 10 schools in a conference. So that's fascinating. So I want to see what that looks for baseball. So I'm glad you brought that up. But that being said, let's talk about some of these matchups. And, you know, obviously we give you some early scores. We got Southern, Arkansas Pine Bluff. So Southern's on the road. They had a good weekend series last week. Obviously batting below the Mendoza line, if you allow me to use the baseball term in terms of a record. But now they get a chance with schedule, maybe a little more friendly. We'll put it that way. It'll be interesting to see what they can look like. But Arkansas Pine Bluff is playing some good baseball. They're pretty hot. So Arkansas Pine Bluff has said, hey, not so fast. We want to make a run at it too. Told you about Prairie View, Texas Southern, Alabama State and Valley, FAMU and Bethune-Cookman, Alabama State and Jackson State, Alcorn State, and Grambling, I should say. It'll be interesting. Those matchups, which one kind of jump out at you? What has your interest for this weekend?
I mean, there's only one matchup that I'm fascinated by, and it kind of took the wind off the sails when Brian talked about the injury. That's FAM and Bethune, man. Like that's the one, because seeding's gonna be important in this tournament. So I think that's a big one. Southern Arkansas and UAPB is another fascinating one for me as well. You know, because it's kind of disappointing how Southern has been this year. Like it's been kind of rough with what's been going on with Southern, because they're typically like in it, and the way they got rocked by UAPB, man, yesterday, or today, excuse me, because it was 15-1 today. So, but yeah,
it got a little ugly there. Let's go to this SIAC standings in terms of the matchup. I hadn't got your thoughts on this. When you talk about, obviously, I shared with you Spring Hill's getting it done. They sit at 31-10 overall and 24-2. But behind them, you have Savannah State sitting at 20-7. Edward Waters 19-8, reflects in a lot of ways what you see in the poll rankings. But then you have Albany State. That seems like they're getting hot. You know, they were struggling a little early in the season, but now they're getting back to what we think about Albany State certainly being in the race. They sit at 23-17 overall. More importantly for them, they're 17-9 in the conference race. So I'm intrigued about that. I want to give a little love to Benedict sitting at 19-13, 15-11, while Miles finds a way to be in the top 5. They're not even in the top 5 in their conference standing. They sit behind Bethune. Benedict, I should say, at 18-20-1, 13-12. So way back in terms of, but those top teams, Savannah State, Edward Waters, Albany State, you might even want to throw in Benedict. They're just 2 behind Albany State there that's playing some good basketball. And let me tell you the last 10 to give you some indication there. Savannah State, 8-2 in their last 10. Edward Waters, 7-3 in their last 10. Albany State, 8-2 in their last 10. And Benedict, the one that's outside of that, struggled a little more at 6-4. in terms of what they look like in their last 10.
Yeah, I'm a biased guy, so I'm hoping that Benedict can keep it rocking and try to figure it out because they're so close to get higher up in the stand, at least get in the top 4. But yeah, man, it's a shame how dominant Spring Hill has been, man. They're 5 games up on anybody else, but Savannah State is fascinating. Edward Waters is as well. I'm hoping that somebody will knock out Spring Hill a little bit, just a little bit. But they've been they've been really good in the conference, which is tough to see. But we'll see. And I don't know where it's going to come from, man, because if Savannah State maybe might be able to get into some trouble, maybe Edward Waters, but that 2-3, the 2 through 4 slot is fascinating because they're only 2 games in between each other.
Good stuff. Let's give a little independent love. We talked about A&T sitting at 5 in their top 10 ranking in the 5 spot, even doing better in conference play in terms of being in tie for second there, I believe. But they have a tough matchup with Delaware. I want to get your thoughts in terms of how they've been playing baseball. They're sitting in the CIA, that second spot, tied there, a couple of games back first. Playing some pretty good baseball, at least in conference play, and getting it done. What are your thoughts in this series, and what do you see them looking like as they move forward in conference play?
Yeah, so Delaware is next up on the docket for A&T out of Newark. It's going to be fascinating to see if they can keep. The biggest concern I have with them is their pitching. They can hit the ball. Like, I'm not worried about them getting runs. It's just we had a game last night. We had a game the other day. Was it last night? I think it was last night against High Point, and they came to Greensboro, man, and scored 25 runs on us. We cannot allow that in conference play. And fortunately, during conference play, we've been doing pretty well with regards to that. Like, typically, if we're going to win a series, we'll win the first 2, and then we just we have a habit of taking a nap on the 3rd game. Like on the previous series against Monmouth, we won 4-3, we won 9-8, and then on the final game we lost 0-13. So it's like, we're gonna win a series, we typically take the first 2 out. We get the first 2 and then take a break on the 3rd when it appears. So, but they've been playing pretty well. Considering everything. But we'll see how they do on the road against Delaware.
Tell us a little bit of how they're doing on the softball side.
Not as well as I would like. Let me pull up the softball standings right now, because the ladies. I mean, this is the second year. This is the second year for the new coach. We're currently 2-16 in conference, 10-31 overall. So we're last in conference in softball right now. We've only won 1 series. We won a series against Townsend. But overall, it's a young team. So we're hoping to get better. We just split with Presbyterian yesterday. We beat them 3-6 and 5-1. We got a big series coming up against Elon and Greensboro, and then we got Hampton.
Well, the women's basketball team has taken the transition pretty well. How has the transition gone for A&T on the softball side?
Well, they changed. Well, it's funny you say that, because their first year they did okay. They actually made the postseason in their first year, but then with an interim coach, but now we have Coach Jose Gonzalez, who's rebuilding the program. He came from Claflin.
Okay.
So it'll be good to see him grow the program and things of that sort. It's been, we always, like I always say, we always try to go up against the HBCUs, and we beat the school down the road. We split against the school down the road. But outside of that, we haven't been playing we beat Maryland Eastern Shore. We played Jackson. We played Jackson State as well. Didn't do too well with them. Played Prairie View. We went 0-3 against SWAC. So y'all can brag about that one. On the softball side,
I like to hear that. I like to hear that. Say that again. Especially when you say it was Prairie View as well.
We lost. We lost to Prairie View. We lost to Jackson, and we lost to FAMU. So all you Rattlers, Tigers, and Panthers can go ahead and brag on me this weekend. We didn't get to play Alabama. We were scared to play Alabama A&M, but that game was canceled. That was in Atlanta. We still get involved in those HBCU classes, softball classes that they do. So, which is good to see.
I don't want to belabor the point and go back too far, but we got the Aggies in baseball last year in the MLB tournament. I like that. That was good. With that being said, let me share a little bit about softball. HBCU AC You have 6 of the programs playing softball over there. Leading the way is Stillman. They sit at 29-10 overall. They're 15-0 in conference play. Behind them, with the overall record is Dillard 16-14 and 8-4 in the conference play. So Stillman is running away with it, getting it done on the softball side of the thing. Since you gave us some updates in terms of softball for A&T, let me shift to the SIAC Division II level. You have Edward Waters. You talked about what they're doing across the board. They're getting it done in softball. They sit at 27-23, 7-3 in their last 10. They're 18-6 in conference play, leading the East Division. They're leading over Fort Valley State. That is 8-2 in their last 10. Fort Valley State sits at 20-19 overall and 15-9. So Edwards in a nice, their whole series lead essentially with 3-game lead, which is fascinating there. And I'll give you the next team in line is Albany State. 6-4 in their last 10. They sit at 20-13 overall and 12-8 in conference play. Let's go to the West Division where you have Tuskegee leading the way at 9-1. Tuskegee's won the tournament. Edward Waters was in the mix, but Tuskegee seems to pick up what they did last year. They sit at 26-6 overall, 20-2 in conference play. Behind them are Spring Hill getting it done. They sit at 23-18 overall, 18-4, obviously HBCU there. So Miles is finding a way to stay in the mix. They're struggling overall, but they're 9-9 in conference play, 9-26. So really, the West is coming down to those 2 teams. It looked like Tuskegee is getting it done, and everybody else is off the map a little bit in terms of East and West. So fascinating to see what that matchup might come down with Edward Waters and Tuskegee in the tournament. Fort Valley is not so fast. They might be in the way. Let me know your thoughts in terms of what's going on in terms of SIAC and maybe between what could be another example of 2 teams facing off in the tournament.
I would be I think this might be the time where Edward Waters is going to surprise some folks and finally do it and get a championship under their belt. But it's amazing and it's funny because it's kind of wild because I remember when Edward Waters was doing that transition to D2. Their first year, they scheduled A&T in football. And part of the reason why we had to do that was because Hampton kind of bolted out of the Big South very quickly.
Right.
And so we needed another game. And we ended up scheduling Edward Waters. We also ended up playing them in basketball that year as well. So shout out to them, man. I think, like we talked earlier, I want to give them another shout out. So it'd be great to see them pull it off. But Tuskegee has just been so dominant in the conference. So it's going to be tough. But I don't want to sleep on Spring Hill because they're right behind them, but I think Tuskegee is going to do what they need to do in the West, and we might get that collision course with them and Edward Waters.
Good stuff, good stuff. Let me go to the CIAA and give them some love in terms of softball as well. They don't play baseball, so we can't do it there, but they do get in there. And I want to make sure I shout out Virginia State does have a baseball program. They get in Claflin as well in terms of the season. That's one of those things where I don't know if you could play a division or whatever, or have maybe multiple divisions. Be interesting for to bring in Virginia State and Claflin as independents in the SIAC to see what that would look like. I think that's something to consider. But Bowie State, thank you. Bowie State is in the Northern Division. They just sit at 500 overall, 17-17, but they're 9-0 in the conference play in terms of what that counts. 4-0 in division. Behind them is Elizabeth City sitting at 3-1 and 4-4. So the division, how they like to do over there is going to be interesting because conference is not even close. When you get in the Southern Division, you got Winston-Salem State sitting at 17-8, 10-3 in terms of conference play, and 6-0 in their division. Behind them, 1 game back in division play is Claflin sitting at 5-1. They're 6-6 conference and 15-21 overall. So you see Bowie State, Winston-Salem State lining up. It'd be interesting when you get in those Northern and Southern Division the way the tournament adds up. Can you get those teams that have done it all season long in the division? Do you get the matchup or do you have upsets coming out of that? So one thing that kind of keeps me fascinated about what that looks like. You're up in that area. You hear anything about CIAA softball?
Not too much. I mean, but I will say this, the Northern Division, man, I think it's clear what's the strongest division is in my eyes. So I'm going to be fascinated to see when the seeding comes out how that's going to be handled, because you might end up with like a Final Four of like nothing but Northern teams, depending on how things fall. Because I mean, Winston's going to be a threat, and I don't want to hear from Stephen Gaither about the Rams. They're already bragging about their women's flag football squads. I don't want them out here bragging about the softball squad. They found a way to win the CI, so we'll see.
He will. If he gonna brag about flag football championship, he gonna make sure softball if they find a way to raise the trophy. Deservedly so. You should brag about any your sport. But with that being said, let's look a little bit about the MEAC. Get back to Division I, and then we'll close out with the SWAC. In terms of the MEAC softball, Howard is the prize. They've won 9 straight, sit at 20-17, 14-1 overall. Just behind them, at least in the conference play, is Norfolk State sitting at 11-4. They're 18-17. They did lose their last game, getting it done there. Then it kind of drops off a little bit with Morgan State and North Carolina Central behind them. But look at those top 2 teams with Howard and Norfolk State. I think Howard is certainly the cream of the crop, if you would. They play in that softball tournament and represent really well when you bring the SWAC schools in. A&T gets in the mix in terms of what that looks like. Any thoughts in terms of Norfolk State? Can they find a way? Oftentimes they host that tournament. Can they find a way to somehow get Howard, or will Howard just find a way to continue to do what they do?
I think we should not sleep on Morgan State. I know the record doesn't show it, but they're defending champions. I don't think we should be sleeping on. First thing I want to say, I don't think we should be sleeping on Morgan State. They got a big series right now going on this weekend. Morgan State and Howard are playing each other. And I'm gonna throw a jab to the ESPN and the MEAC. Y'all should have did Howard and Morgan this weekend and not Norfolk and Copper. Y'all should have did Howard and Morgan, guys. But neither here nor there. I just want to throw that little jab out there because they should have done that. That's too big of a game. And then we could have seen Banks and Erica. That would have been fun. So, but Norfolk, I think Norfolk will probably end up remaining in second. But I think Morgan might have a legitimate shot to keep this interesting if they can win the series against Howard this weekend.
Let's shift, as we said, the last one we'll do is softball. We'll go to the SWAC. Let's start with the Eastern Division. FAMU is leading the East Division 18-17 overall. They've won 5 straight games. They sit at 14-4, but Bethune-Cookman is right behind them, sitting at 12-5. So just one game back in terms of the loss column at 19-23 overall, and playing some good softball late. They've won 6 straight. You have Alabama State a little further back in terms of sitting at 12-8 in a conference race for their division play, 14-31 overall, and they lost 1. Let's go to the West Division where you have Prairie View getting it done. They had lost their last non-conference game. They sit at 20-18, 14-3. So they have a comfortable lead over Texas Southern that is in the second spot. It's 11-7. So that's more than a series lead, 4 games back for Texas Southern. And Texas Southern has struggled overall, but they find a way to get some big conference wins. They sit at just 11-19. Behind them is Southern that is tied with Texas Southern in terms of the loss, but hadn't been able to play enough games as they just sit at 8-7 in the division race there in conference play. 17-18 overall, losing their last game. Thoughts in terms of closing things off with softball, these races going down the stretch. Obviously, a lot of people talk about the strength being in the East Division, but Prairie View has got a championship, so they can play with the teams in the East, as well as some of the better teams in HBCU as they've gone to some of those preseason tournaments and done really well, including this year where they were undefeated and took home the trophy.
Well, Prairie View should be the favorites to come out of here and win this championship. I mean, I know everybody talks about the Florida schools when it comes to baseball. They got some pretty good softball squads as well. But Prairie View should be able to come in and get it done, man. Like I think Prairie View has the benefit of being in the West. Meanwhile, while the East is just beating up on each other because they're pretty much fighting to see who can stay in first place. True. I mean, you're talking about Bethune being 1 game out of being in first place. Alabama State's not too far behind. Jackson State's got 7 losses, whereas Prairie View's kind of like 4-game lead. So, they could potentially cruise this thing and hold on and keep that champion, and win the West and be a little bit more fresher going up against the Florida schools in the East and Alabama State.
Good stuff. With that being said, any final thoughts you want to share before we close it out?
We didn't talk about NIL today, but I'm just going to say this as somebody who's gone to like 2 alumni town hall meetings, and I'm going to talk about this more on MD tonight.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
We need to start thinking about how we fund these things, because it is that the portal opened yesterday, and there's a lot of players in this portal. And I think at some point they might decide they'll come, play for just a scholarship, but it's going to be a while till they get to that point because everybody's looking for some money. Everybody. That's what I've been noticing so far.
But the money has to be out there, and I think some people don't realize that. If you had a talent and you can get the money, you certainly should take it. But it doesn't mean just because some are out there able to provide the money that everybody has the money. At the end of the day, take advantage of the scholarship that you have to help you go get some more money down the road, if that's your goal. And then NIL is out there to the space now that you have it, that you can put in some of that work yourself too. Create your brand so you can go get the money and put yourself in position with some of these alumni organizations that have their own businesses. And if you could provide the value, or some of the local businesses, then you can go get the money, because the money availability is not just from the institution. It's also about you being able to brand yourself and put yourself in a position to go do it. So that's some things that I want some of the athletes to think about. Is how do I create the environment as an entrepreneur to put myself in a position to get the money one way or the other, if not both. So good points there. With that being said, let's close it up. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop. And today we have David L. Rose. Make sure you tune in as they get it done, talk a little bit more. I want to hear more about what you alluded to in terms of what it means to be successful in athletics these days. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. Enjoy your holiday for those that celebrate the Easter weekend. We look forward, I should say, to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me. That's DrKenyattacavil, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's on Facebook and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. Shout out to Raymond checking us out as he's out there in the stands checking out the Panthers. That is G Boom. Joe Clay, I know he's checking it out. We was going to bring him in, but he said didn't bring the earpieces, so a little bit too much noise out there. So I want to give some love to G Boom as he's sitting out there checking out his Panthers. I'll get the call and get the scoops from you. With that being said, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Course. David.
Lecture.
Dismiss.